Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. Oh, I got some food up here. Welcome to the Massive Iron. I don't know what that is. Maybe toothpaste. Got to be a little toothpaste. Got a dog hair over here. Welcome to Massive Iron Live, guys. I appreciate you joining me this Friday, February 18th. And I'll be on as long as you guys have questions. Just a couple of notes before we begin. I'm here every Friday at 11 Eastern, so I appreciate you guys joining me, tuning in. I answer every question. One of the issues with YouTube is that occasionally your questions don't appear. That's not me ignoring you. I get that every single week. So if your questions don't appear, head over to Instagram, App and the Barman. Post up your question, and I'll answer it. I've been trying to mess. I got a couple things I want you guys help with. I've been trying to mess with my display settings so they're not so bright. And I just can't get it to work. So I thought I'd like move a lamp in here, and then I go like this, and I thought that would kind of like make things look a little better. If anybody knows how to mess with your display settings, let me know. I can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out, and I just didn't have time. So, big news before we get rolling. What are you doing over there? Big news before we get rolling. I'm going to be starting a new Massive Iron magazine. This is going to be hosted on MagCloud. It's going to be digital and print. And basically, I'm going to be putting it out every 3 months initially. You guys can submit things, okay? You can submit articles. Let me see if I can pull it up on the old Instagram. Hold on, folks. Let me see if I can pull it up on the Instagram. I want to go over this real quick because you guys have a chance to submit things and get in the Massive Iron. All right. Let me see if I can share the screen, select screen, Instagram-y, allow, and let's see. Are we there? Okay, we're there. This is over on Instagram. If you want more information, check out Instagram at Ben the Barman. Basically, I'm going to be accepting articles, recipes, transformation stories, interviews if you want to interview your favorite YouTube celebrity or whatever. If you're a YouTuber and you make videos, you can actually take the transcripts from those videos or send the video link to me if you think it's good enough to be an article, and I will transcribe that into an article for Massive Iron Massive Iron Magazine. Photos, if you have an interesting photo or caption or whatever, and you want it to be featured in the Massive Iron little bullpen, go right ahead. A lot of stuff. So check that out. I'm going to try to have the first edition out June 1st. This is more of a passion project. People ask me, why I decided to do it. I just want to do something different. Want to do something fun. Want to get more information out there. So, all right, let me get rid of that screen, and let's see what we got going on today. Stein is back on top. Well done, Stein. You're the king. You're back on top of the mountain today. Joe, Stein is back on top. Balance has been restored. Absolutely. The king is here. Richard Murray from Scotland. I bend the knee. Stein has reclaimed the throne. Have a great weekend. It's just like the WWE. You never know who's going to win the ladder match, right? Game of Thrones. Hello, 3 Days Grace. What's going on? And Rafael de Souza, Massive Iron Friday Live. I appreciate all the regulars like you guys that join me. Just as a note, if you're new here, don't hesitate to post up a question. There are no dumb questions, just stupid questions, sometimes awkward questions, sometimes weird questions. Just post up your question, and I'll answer it. Love to hear from you. So speaking of which, we have the first real question of the day. How much sodium salt is okay per day? Well, there was an article that I commissioned way back in the day, probably 5 or 6 years ago on Tiger Fitness, based on some studies and research. I'm trying to get my chair straight here, about salt sodium intake in athletes. First off, sodium is an electrolyte. If you guys are sweating or running or working out, you need it. If you're doing a long workout or a long run and you're sweating a lot, you probably need to replenish your electrolytes in general. So salt and sodium is generally nothing you need to avoid, especially as an athlete. The idea that it's somehow going to drive up your blood pressure or whatever, a lot of that information, a lot of those studies are really bad. They're like these associational studies, where like people who eat more sodium have higher blood pressure. Well, people who are eating more sodium probably are eating a lot more processed food than we are, and that sort of thing. So basically, just eat a normal diet. I salt my food lightly. I find I crave it. I find I feel better with a little bit of added salt. So as long as you're not going crazy, you're fine. It's funny. I posted the other day that I occasionally eat these jars of olives, right? And it's funny the reactions you get on social media and YouTube and Instagram. People will go, not everybody, obviously, but I had like 3 or 4 comments where people were going crazy. Look at all the fat and all the sodium you're eating in olives. I'm like, dude, you're going to go out this weekend and crush pizza and beer. So get off it, right? Get off the throne. I'm having olives. And you're worried about my health in this day and age. And I guarantee you that dude probably had fast food that day. Harut, what's up, guys? What's up, Harut? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from, how the gym situation is going. If you have any evil dictators like Canada that are trying to turn anybody that protests into a terrorist. Just kidding. Don't want to get into politics, but it is kind of scary. All right. Ian, how's it going, Ian? Dungeons and Dumbbells. Head over to his channel and subscribe. Look, I'm not bald. I guarantee I'm not bald. I got a late notification. Maybe next time. You can still watch. We don't mind. Rico, Massive Iron Family. How's it going, Rico? Raphael, let's get started. Big, hairy, ugly dude in the house. Just a reminder, guys, if you go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, there is a Team Massive tab. We have a very rapidly growing Team Massive forum group that is just great. Good conversation, all clean. We don't allow trolls. Good lifting information, very mature. You can send me form videos, questions, all you want. I try to stay on top of those daily. And it's a really good investment for those of you that don't want full-blown coaching. And now, look, if you're sick of Facebook and you're sick of social media bullshit, come join Team Massive, because you will find that instead of going to look on Facebook to see what political COVID crap is going on, you have another place to go, and it's a little bit more supportive. Obviously. Sign, getting lower back some rest. Is doing deadlifts, sumo, leg curls, and glute ham raises okay for hamstrings? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't do much more than that. I won't lie. I love muscle building. I love, I love training every body part, but hamstrings, they're a tough muscle group to train. So I trained leg curls 2 days ago, seated leg curls. Just make sure you get nice control on those. Just make sure you can feel the hamstrings. Just make sure at the end of your set, you can really feel them working. All right, before I go any further, I got to say, tonight on Netflix, I'm a little bit excited. There's a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. A little bit excited. Now, I don't know what to expect. A bunch of social media influencers are headed to do whatever, right, in Texas. So it could be awful or it could be well made, but we're going to watch that tonight. So I'm not sure if any of you guys are going to give that a test drive, but let me know. Big Spoon Bear. Hope you're feeling okay. Just survived a horrible storm in the UK, 2 felled trees. Sorry to hear that, man. I hope you're doing okay. I'm doing okay here. Some interesting things for those of you keeping score at home. I had COVID, and it was pretty bad for about 2 weeks. And I still have some reduced lung capacity. I have to rest a little bit longer, like after deadlifts. I've done 5 to 6 hikes of 45 minutes to an hour just to break in. I have not run yet to test it. I've lost 20% of my hearing. I hope it's temporary. Things are far more muted, but I'm training again. I've had 5 workouts in the last 10 days. Yesterday on bench, I did 135 by 20. I'm going to build up 10 pounds from there every week and get back up to 225 by 20. Squats, had a really good leg workout. Had over 15 sets on my leg day. Squats, it was only my second squat workout after COVID. I did 125 for 3 sets of 5. Nothing great, but I'm building back up. So next week's probably going to be 155. I'm going to build up over the course of 2 months. The good news is the weight feels ridiculously light, which is excellent. Muhammad, my question, do high sugar levels cause muscle loss? No, the body's not that fragile. A little bit of, if you have some, some diabetes issues, or you eat different types of foods, or you're worried that eating a lot of sugar daily or a lot of simple carbs is going to cause muscle loss, absolutely not. The body's not that fragile. Gray Rhino, great news about the magazine. Thank you. I'm very excited. I want to get more involved in doing things like that and putting out quality content. It's not something that's going to make money. And what I mean by that is I'm going to be, if I find somebody that submits an article, a really good article, or that's a frequent submitter, I'm going to start paying them. It won't be a lot, right? It'll be $50 to $100 per article. But basically, whatever I make on the magazine, I'm going to pump back into the magazine just to keep it going, just because I want to do something fun. Wondering if you have any tips or supplements for knee pain. Worked 26 years on concrete. The biggest 2 things I have would be to check out Joint XT. Joint XT is a joint supplement we use and highly recommend. It was recommended to me by the supplement engineer when he was on this channel. And another thing, I'm not sure where your weight is, but every pound you can get down will help your joints, especially your knees. And I'm not sure where your weight is. I'm familiar. I know who you are, obviously, from Instagram, but I don't know what your weight is. But when you look at, especially with knees and hips, you want to get your weight down. I'm not telling you to turn into a skinny jeans lifter, but get your weight down a little bit. That will only help. All right, what do we got here? Opinion for Smith machine squats for hypertrophy, better than barbell squats? No. I don't like questions like this, because at the end of the day, exercise variety is king. A Smith machine squat like some people, when it comes to a barbell squat, there's a lot of people out there that don't have form down, and they're not getting a lot out of their barbell squats. So in general, if you are getting if you are working squats properly and you have your form down, you're going to get a lot out of barbell squats. The Smith machine squat is like a step down. That doesn't mean it's bad. Don't misinterpret me. That just means I would consider it a second tier exercise for legs. For me, I did leverage squats. A second tier exercise for legs, also like leg press and hack squats. So they're not bad exercises. Not bad at all. Those are all good choices. And if you can't squat, excuse me, got a hair in my throat or something. If you can't squat or you're not getting a lot out of squats, you could get a lot out of Smith machine squats, leverage squats, hack squats, and leg presses. Those 4 exercises would be wonderful. UWM, how much slower is muscle gain at maintenance compared to small surplus? These questions I'm nervous about answering because I feel, and I don't know, but there are a lot of people out there that don't want to gain weight for whatever reason. Usually it's guys that are skinnier. Because I don't know your case, UWM, so I want to frame this because there's many people watching this. I'm not a fan of trying to gain at maintenance. Maintenance level isn't something that I care about at all if you are trying to build muscle and strength. Maintenance level is something I'll never keep anybody at. There's no benefit. There's no substantial benefit. There's only detriment. I can't sit and tell you percentages, but I can tell you that maintenance level is only good for the experienced lifter that has all the strength they want, all the muscle they want. They're right where they are weight-wise, and they just want to stay in that tube. For the rest of folks, you can either check out my book at superlivingtheday.com. Just go over to the search button and search bulk, and there's a 14,000-word book. That's pretty substantial. That's about 10 to 14, the size of 10 to 14 articles, okay? So it's a lot of information. It'll teach you how to maintain weight throughout the course of a year while remaining in a bulk over 10 months out of the year. And that's not bullshit. It's just math, and it's how to do bulking and cutting properly. I had a client come to me today, or this week, I'm sorry, and he wants to improve his deadlifts, and he's at a pretty good weight. He's an experienced bodybuilder, and he doesn't want to necessarily gain weight, but he wants to put weight on his deadlift. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 3-4 month bulk, and then we'll do a little mini cut, get him back to the same weight. That's a far better option. It's not like living at maintenance level is foolish when there's so many more better options. Let's put it that way. Jordan Green, opinion on squat shoes. I got some after a decade of lifting, and they seem to help. Now, I was just talking about this yesterday on Team Massive. I can squat with heels, and I can squat flat-footed. It doesn't seem to bother me, but that's just a personal thing. So the only thing I will say is when you start squatting, I would like you to try with flat foot, a flat-soled shoe, and I would like to have you try high bar. That's the best place to start, in my opinion. There's many reasons. I'm not against low bar, but if you don't understand the squat, you're going to have a tendency to fold right away. And if you throw in a heel, that's going to toss you forward a little bit even more. So if you have a heeled squat and you're new, and you have low bar and you're new, you're going to fold like a lawn chair. So spend some time learning form with a flat-soled shoe. And then before you spend a fortune on squat shoes, you need to do your research. You need to do check reviews, check research on the internet, and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. But make sure you got a good understanding of form before you start getting a squat shoe, because a lot of people will come to me and they will have rough squat form. And then they think, oh, this will be the cure, or that'll be the cure. If I just get squat shoes, that'll be the cure. Or if I just do mobility work, that'll be the cure. That's not true at all. You need to get your squat down without all that stuff as good as you can, and then decide if there's a problem. Because as we've mentioned previously, there's a lot of people out there creating problems that don't exist, right? They're creating solutions for problems that don't exist, and you'll see the solution, and then all of a sudden you'll think you have the problem. And with squats, the problem might not be a bad squat at all, or it might not be that you need a shoe or you need mobility work. It might be that you just need to work on your squat form. So I hope that helps. Rob M., when adding a set to an existing movement, is it considered a new program? No, it's evolving your program. You can you could label it something different, but that's just semantics. You know, if you're doing a program that I created for you, one of my programs, and barbell rows are 3x8, and you decide to go by 4x6, is that a new program? Well, it's a program evolution, but really we're just splitting hairs here with semantics. It's not program hopping. Let's put it this way. It's not program hopping if it's a change based on something, A, you feel like you might want to try because there might be a reason to try it. B, you're kind of curious. Or C, you're doing, say, barbell rows at 3x8, and you're like, my workout's doing good, I'm progressing good, but I feel like I could use one more set on barbell rows. Go ahead. That's training evolution. Evolving your training based on needs. So I will say this, when you experiment with variables in your training program, try to only adjust one at a time and in a small variable, right? If you're somebody that's in it for the long run and you're going to, look at evolving your training based on needs, try not to change tons of variables on the same day, right? And you also got to be careful about changing a lot of variables weekly. Like, don't just say, I'm going to add one set per exercise to every exercise this week. Make small adjustments. Josh, is there such a thing as too much muscle damage on bro splits? You would have to work incredibly, incredibly hard to get to that kind of level. And look, it is possible, but working that hard, like I've been there on my long runs where my first 50K, after trying it like 2 or 3 times before and failing, I got to about 44K and I knew I was going to finish. But good grief, the last 6K, it was like I would rather call an Uber. I was no longer running. I was walking slow. I was pretty toast. So that's an extreme case, and I know it's not lifting, but hear me out. That's an extreme case where I push myself to the limit on a trail run with a lot of elevation change. And still, I was able to wake up the next day and run, so you could do some damage. I've done some workouts where I did 500. Once I did 500 deadlift reps for 315 in 5 hours just for fun. And I got up the next day and I felt some soreness, but too much muscle damage, you would have to do something extremely insane. And I've done some insane things. I've done the 6-hour sit-through workouts with Alan Roberts, an hour of burpees, an hour of deadlifting, 315, 6 straight hours of exercise. And, I didn't get too much muscle damage. So it's something no one needs to worry about. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you. OMFG, can't wait. I get a proper pump from training, and why does it fade so quickly for me? I've never had a pump for hours. If somebody's telling you they have a muscle pump for hours, either they're really, really super lucky or they're full of shit. And I would bet, excuse my language, but I would bet there's a 99% chance they're using hyperbole, exaggerating, or full of crap. Mike, if I lost a rep on an exercise compared to the week before, do you still gain anything? Yeah, don't think of it like that. It happens, man. I mean, I remember back in 99 benching, I was actually at my strongest. My bench was around 425 or 430. And I remember days I would come in and lose a rep. There's so many variables in the body, and this is what we need to understand. Not everything is muscular in nature. We have the central nervous system, the immune system. Sometimes, we have our sleep cycles are off, our hormones are off, we're stressed, whatever. There's so many things going on that can impact the body. That one workout, one rep doesn't mean anything. Have you gained anything? Yes. Pushing the body, there's always gain. It might result in a negative number on one workout, but that's not indicative of where you're going, because in the long run, regardless of how many dips or jumps there are, If you continue to work hard, you're going to a very special place, and none of this crap matters. So just ignore it, Mike. Ugh, is there a large difference in hypertrophy and doing curls to failure? Again, I don't like comparison questions. The best answer for big biceps is doing a good selection of exercises. Dumbbell curls, easy bar curls, easy bar 21s, drag curls, cable curls, concentration curls. Bands you can just toss out the window. As far as hypertrophy goes, bands are, arguably probably one of the worst things you can use for hypertrophy. They're just super easy at the beginning. I find that even when I have all the bands in the world, I can't really get a good challenge. Bands just aren't a quality choice unless they're used with existing resistance. Like you can band a dumbbell bench press with the band under the bench. You can use things like that, but when it comes to hypertrophy in any muscle group, you want to ask yourself, what are the hardest exercises that are good for my body, that don't beat me up, that have some decent room for progressive overload? Now, on the biceps, concentration curls, I actually don't mind concentration curls for rest pause work. Now, do they have a lot of room for progression? No. Dumbbell bench, dumbbell curl, pinwheel curl, easy bar curl, barbell curl, all those have room for progression, even cable curls, even machine curls. So if you're really serious about hypertrophy, I'd like to see a dumbbell curl, an easy bar curl variation, then 2 more curl variations, not necessarily in the same week, but at least every other week, like over the course of 2 weeks, at least 4 exercise variations. Josh, if the muscle is so sore that it recovers right before the next workout. So you're framing your last question, being too much muscle damage. Josh, I've mentioned this before, and I want to mention this again. I am a firm believer that at least some of the soreness you experience from training is fascia or connective tissue. Soreness and stiffness, we got to understand a few things. You can sit in your chair and get stiff. It's like a calcification of the fascia or the sheath around a muscle. It's, that's just general stiffness. Soreness, the connective tissue in and around a muscle has 9 times more sensory neurons than the muscle itself. And I do not know for certain that this is the truth, but I would like a study done, and maybe someday when I'm dead and they do a study on this and find that a reasonable percentage of the soreness is from the fascia or connective tissue, not just from the muscle, then you guys can all raise my name up on high and say he was right or he was an idiot on this one. He was wrong. But, man, if I'm sore, I'm working out again. The only case where there's very few cases where I am not going to work out again. Very few cases. I did German volume training, and after 10 by 10 on squats, I was still extremely sore, could barely walk 10 days later. I did not continue German volume training. That's extreme. Minor soreness is fine. And Josh, I would need to know a little bit more about your training. Are you doing this on upper lowers? You said you're doing it on a bro split. I'm going to ask you, Josh, and this is not criticism, but what in God's name are you doing on a bro split that's leaving you sore again the next time around? Are you doing a lot of volume, like a German volume training? All right. Does the natural limit exist? 150%. There's a physiological natural limit. This was studied by Dr. Casey Butt. Dr. Casey Butt studied well over 300 natural bodybuilding champions. And, some people smirk, natural. How does he know they're natural? Yeah, well, in any case, In any case, we know from studying what is going on in the real natural world that there are natural limits. Now, can there be outliers in certain situations? Yes. Let's look at arms. I have measured my arms, and they are 17.5 when I'm at 20 to 22% body fat, and 17 to 16 and 3/4 when I'm lean. I've measured my arms over the years in my time in the industry against virtually everybody. There have been, outside of Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler and guys like that, there's only been 2 to 3 guys that had slightly bigger arms than mine that weren't above 20 to 22% body fat. The guys above 25, they're at 30, 35% body fat. Yeah, I've seen some big old fat farmers' arms, you know what I'm saying? But where I'm getting at is if you have a big bicep peak, like the shape of your bicep, that could add some size even though the mass is equatable. Does that make sense? So the shape, obviously we can tell looking person to person. Some people have that hardball size bicep, and some people like me have the same mass, but it looks like a big baked potato. So if I had a peak, there's a chance I could maybe add a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch onto my arm size. So there are natural differences like that. They aren't going to add much, and they're more outliers. But the natural limit 100% exists. And if anybody doesn't believe it, either they're just completely ignorant of all the research that's been done and what the experts agree on. They're ignorant, or they're trying to sell you some snake oil, or they're bigger than they think they are body fat wise. You know, when you look at somebody trying to tell you how to get to 19-inch arms, you know, like that's an outlier naturally. And still, I'm going to question, you know, I'm going to be skeptical. We have a right in lifting to be skeptical of people that make claims. You know, guys can get their arms super pumped and add a 1/2 inch. My triceps swell up like crazy when I'm doing arm work. You know, but I don't like rush out and say I have 19-inch arms because I have a super pump. I might have 19-inch arms when I have a super pump, but I'll walk around with them, right? Ryan, hello, big, hairy, ugly dude. Can you suggest alternative exercises to replace overhead press? I always experience shoulder pain. I'd have to know more, Ryan. Like, are you doing standing, seated? When you're doing them seated, are they at 70%? What's your age? What's your lifting history? Do you get this on dumbbell presses, overhead presses? Because I can't really answer the question, because if you're getting pain on a vertical push, then I don't know why, right? I can't just simply say to a machine overhead press because that's a vertical push. An upright row is basically the same thing. You're working the same muscles, side lateral as well. So I would have to know a lot more, Ryan. You can hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman, and maybe we can comb through this just a little bit. Carlton, program going great. I got to give a shout out to Carlton. He's a client of mine, a truck driver, and he keeps his bench and his weights in his truck, and he pulls those suckers out of his truck, wherever he's at, in whatever parking lot, whatever the weather is, and gets it done. So working with a guy like Carlton is, I appreciate it greatly, because Carlton has what it takes to do whatever he wants to do if he decides he wants to do it. All right, guys, we're about 35 minutes in. Before I continue, I just want to remind you of a couple things. If your question isn't going through, shorten your question or send it over on Instagram at Ben the Barman. Slide into my DM, and I will either answer your question live. I got it right here. I'm checking right now. I'll either answer your question live, or I'll just answer your question afterwards. Let me check. What do we got here? And guys, over here at superlivingtoday.com, I don't know if you guys have ever had coaching. But with me, it's $80 a month. And I'm with you every single day. We talk on the phone to get you set up. We get you set up with a workout, a plan of attack on nutrition. I'm watching your workouts every single week. Every single day, I'm watching your nutrition and your weight every single day. I'm watching your exercise form every single day. It's like having me as your coach every single day. This is what I do for a living. So if you're interested in coaching, head over to superlivingtoday.com. If you don't want full-blown coaching, I do program design. So you can head over to my website as well. I can design you a custom program and take the guesswork out of it. Lionel, how many calories needed to build 1 pound of muscle? This isn't anything this isn't anything I've ever worried about. I worry about the things I need to worry about. How's my training? Is it going good? Check. How's my nutrition? Am I in a slight surplus? Check. So that's what's needed to build muscle. So anything else is just people overthinking, trying to, and I'm not saying you are, Lionel. I'm just saying I don't worry about, anything like that. There's not enough science that I am aware of to specifically say an efficient bulk should be 153 calories. I mean, I don't think there's enough scientific literature on that to really tell us anything, if you know what I'm saying. And look, 90% of the muscle building is, if your nutrition is consistent, 90% of muscle building is in the gym. Like when people say 90% of muscle building is diet, like you're full of shit. Really? 90% is diet? I can hit 2,800 calories a day, and that's not exactly hard. It's not straining. It's not challenging. It's not 50%, right? If you get your diet right where your calories need to be, then everything's about training. And that's where everybody goes to die when it comes to muscle building. Big Spoon Bear, bring back Terrence and Phillip. What am I missing? Who are Terrence and Phillip? Benny Watts, bigger in person. Gray Rhino, they're in process of removing the protesters. That's what I heard. We're talking about Canada. Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know all the ins and outs, and I don't like to get into politics, but man, the leader up there just seems like a dictator. Vinny P, one of my clients, not customers. I just talked to Vinny the other day, and what's frustrating, Vinny? You trying to post something that's not going through? Jan, how's it going, Jan? Thanks for tuning in. Paul X, Gray Rhino, Granite, Joint Care from the late John Meadows. I have not checked that out, so I would not follow that recommendation. No effects. I'm not trying to bash at Paul, but the conclusion I came to when I was working with the supplement engineer, the conclusion he came to is that Joint XT was the best in the industry. And when we take it personally, I have not heard another supplement expert give that a blessing. And I'm not trying to dissuade you from trying his products, but I know the product that I've been told is best, and I've used personal experience with it, so I would not stray from Joint XT. Mara, hey, big man, hope you're well. It's very windy here in Leicestershire. How do you say that in the UK? Leicestershire? We'd say it Leicester, like Worcestershire. I'm trying to say it like Worcestershire. Maybe somebody can correct me. James, if you had to estimate, how do you think a strict one-arm pull-up is? Wow, good question. I will say I worked, one of my best friends was the first natural wheelchair body pro. True story. Rich Knapp, Knapp, Google him. Do the Google image search. Rich, R-I-C-H, last name Knapp. Now, Rich was in a wheelchair. He was shredded, and we would often train together, and Rich could keep up with me. He was like a brother to me. Rich would go to the gym, like we'd go to Gold's Gym, and he would do a one-arm pull-up with his wheelchair, strapped into his wheelchair with his wife hanging off his back. So, how many times have I seen things like that in my lifting career? Once, Rich. I've seen some other guys do one-arm pull-ups, like Mechanimal, who I've had on my podcast. But, man, they're pretty rare. I couldn't even give you a number, but there ain't many people in the world that can do those. Red Wild Bear. How should I use sets as a form of progressing overload? I like doing sets of 3 by 6 to 8 on bench. How can I add weight to that? Well, there's different ways. You can use the rep goal system. One thing I do with my clients is you can do 6-6 max. So use the same weight for 3 reps or for 3 sets. Let's just use 200 because it's a round number. It can be anything. 150, 130, whatever. Do 6, do max reps, okay? If you hit 8 or more on the last set, then move up 5 pounds the next time. You could also try to hit 8 reps on all 3 sets. 8, 8, 8. When you hit 8, add 5 pounds. These are all variations of the rep goal system. They all have rep targets. So let's say you do 150 on bench for 3 sets of 8, and you add 5 pounds. You move up to 155, and maybe hit 8, 7, and 6. So you drop a little bit in reps. At that point, you could just continue to try to work up until you hit 3 by 8 and then add 5 pounds. That's another good way as well. If you're doing a rep goal system, just remember you don't need to stick to all, combinations of 5s, 15s, 20, 25, 30. You could adjust it. So you could do 21, 22, 23, or even 24 rep goal on something like that. Have you noticed any hypertrophy benefit from forearm isolations? I have very thick forearms, and I've never had to do any forearm work. Most of the experienced lifters I know don't do any do very little, if any, direct forearm work, and their forearms are huge. One thing I try to stress, you guys, and you can believe me or you cannot believe me, but if you're not building muscle on the rest of your body and you think training your neck and your forearms is going to somehow make them big when you can't even build muscle anywhere else, you got a long stare in the mirror ahead of you. You got to stand in front of the mirror and say, self, what the hell am I doing? Wasting my time in the gym on forearms and neck work when I can't get the rest of my body big, okay? So let's establish that first. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, so I know a lot, forearms and neck kind of grow naturally because you're doing a lot of direct work, gripping and stuff like that. Is it worth adding the time? Is it worth adding the time? Get the rest of your stuff in. If you want to do a little bit of stuff on forearms, great. Just have progressive overload. What do we got here? 3 days grace. Is it true that some percent of the population are non-responders to creatine? I wouldn't say that. Non-responders are like nil, null, void, 0. Creatine's it does a specific function in the human body. And I believe if you're a non-responder, you'd be dead, right? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I kind of think that's where we're going here. You'd have some DNA deficiency or some dramatic, health condition. So, most 90% of the issue with creatine, I'm going to say 98% of the issue with creatine is most people don't take it every day for 3 straight months or longer at 5 grams a day. To get the most benefit out of creatine, you need to take it 5 grams a day plus. I also think people have unrealistic expectations of what it's going to do. There's plenty of science that shows there's benefits. And when you see a mountain of benefits, it's the most studied, maybe other than whey protein, I don't know, the most studied supplement in the universe, that most people are getting benefits from it, even if they don't feel like they're getting benefits. So just understand the placebo effect that can work the opposite way. I'm not getting any benefits. I thought it would be like steroids. I thought it would be as good as testosterone, right? So you have to understand that as well. Now, there is some variance in the human body. I used to feel really big pumps using it to the point where I didn't like using it on certain lifting days, or I didn't like using it because on certain lifting days, it would bother me. I wouldn't say non-responders, and I'd be skeptical to say that it's not giving a benefit. There can be some variance in the human genome, obviously, but do I think it's still worth taking? Yeah, I do. If you're going to take anything, I think it's worth considering. You don't have to blow the 10 or 15 or $20 on it every month. Logan, any late novice body part split program you'd recommend? You guys, if you're looking for good workouts, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. There's a workout tab. And I have 30 different programs from anywhere of increasing your pull-ups or push-ups. It's only a 2-page thing, but it's a 12-week program to do improve your pull-ups and push-ups. And then I have tons of different workouts. There are you can do something like the power muscle block. There are other programs over there as well. So if Logan, if that's your physique right now, you look pretty darn good. You look like you know what you're doing. I would probably check out the power muscle block, and I probably need to do an update on that. It's good to reassess your training philosophies every couple of years as a coach, because you have a broader and broader or bigger and bigger pool of people you're working with, and you learn new things. So I would check that out. There's a course tab on my website, but I would check out Power Muscle Block. UGG. Brad Schoenfeld said you can build max muscle with 30 rep training. Yeah, we covered this last week. You can build muscle with 30 rep training, but it's going to be a pain in the ass. It's not practical. Just because you can do this is something I've taught over and over and over again. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the most efficient or best way. Okay, here's my example. You are in New York City and you want to get to Hollywood. You can get there, you can travel the distance using a tricycle. You can build max muscle with 30 rep training. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the most efficient way. Does that make sense? And 30% of your 1 rep max is always going to be changing, so your strength levels are going to be building. My 1 rep max on deadlift, let's say it was around 700. Do I want to do 30 rep sets with 210? Fuck no. You have other things that are going to, like cardiovascular wise, you're going to hate it. You're going to hate your life for doing such stupid high rep work. And you're going to have to push to failure or close to failure on 30 rep training. That's almost impossible. So from a practical standpoint, I don't care if Jesus, Buddha, everybody comes down from the heavens, all in unison, locking arms, saying you can do 30 rep training in the gym. Yes, you could build max muscle with 30 rep training, but it's going to be the most uncomfortable, dumbest, most unchallenging, insane thing you've ever done. It's going to be a royal pain in the ass. Rico, are you still doing the podcast? What had happened, Rico, is during my 2 months of being sick, I fell behind. I plan on getting the Massive Iron Lives back up on the podcast. I also ran into a really weird period with guests. Like, I asked like 5 or 6 people to be on the podcast, and they're like, how about 4 months from now on Saturday at 11:30 p.m.? Like, oh, fucking hey, dude. Can we just do it now? I mean, I can't plan shit 4 months out, But honestly, that's how it went. And then, Bud Jeffries, God rest his soul, he passed away a couple weeks back. Things happened like Bud was going to do a podcast. We were on here, and he couldn't figure out how to get his mic working for like 40 minutes. And that kind of shut down that episode. So I just hit kind of a rough speed bump. And honestly, my clients are my first priority. I'm going to get the old episodes of live up there, and then we'll roll from there. Woodulus from Scotland, a client of mine. Thoughts on nucleus overload training and blood flow restriction for 19-inch arms. Good God, you're trolling me. There are a few things I hope I never hear again, and one of them is nucleus overload training and blood, and 2 of them are nucleus overload training and blood flow restriction. I can't tell you how many people have come to me. It's like, how do I build a big neck or big forearms, and can I use nucleus overload training and blood flow restriction? Like, number 1, it's not needed. Number 2, it's not going to push you past your natural physiological limits, so it's extra crap. Number 3, I'm not sold on its benefits at all. I don't care who says what, and you can hate me, but come back 5 years later and I'll be right. And you'll still have 1 or 2 people like, I'm going to do blood flow restriction for extra muscle gain. How about you just lift some fucking heavy-ass fucking weight? That'll do it too. How about you just do progressive overload and get your diet in check? Look, if you're working on progress, trying to figure out the complex Rubik's Cube that is muscle building, the last thing you need to be doing is nucleus overload training and blood flow restriction. Asking for a friend. Mickey, if my aim is upper back growth, how should I perform barbell rows? No. No. You don't want to like slow it down and pull it to a certain area. Okay? What you need to do is get fucking strong on them. Preferably on pendlay rows. I'm going to repeat, get fucking strong. You want a big back. It's going to come down to exercise variety and not, trying to target keep it in a natural position, Mickey. I want you to do barbell rows, dumbbell rows, lat pull downs, pull-ups, seated cable rows, and then maybe work in 1 or 2 other variations over the course of 2 weeks. And what I'm about to say to you is so very, very important. If you want a upper back growth, get all of them fucking insanely strong. Insanely strong. Back more than anything, too many people turn it into this mind muscle thing with like 52.5 pounds. And they're not getting jack shit out of it. The back is a strong muscle group. I don't give a fuck if you're feeling it all day long. You still need to get that sucker strong. Like if you haven't got to 100 on dumbbell rows yet, you need to just focus on strength. 100%. If you haven't got your pendlay rows to 225 from multiple sets of 6, you need to focus on strength. Get that strength up. That's your base. And from there, you're just beginning. You're just beginning. James, 79 years young, will be getting back to the gym after rehab from rotator cuff operation. My favorite routine is a modified 5x8, increasing weight 2 weeks. That sounds fine, James. I mean, it's going to be a short-term program. Just understand that because that's a form of linear progression where you're adding weight at certain intervals. And I have no issues with that at all because you're progressing. But the thing to know with linear progression programs, you're going to hit a hard wall very quickly. So just have a plan in place on what you're going to do after that. And guys, sorry if I'm getting a little fired up, but I really want you guys to get, the importance of some of these things. Like back training if you're gonna like try to pull slow up to your nipple area because you can with 75 pounds on barbell rows because you can feel it better. I can feel this without any weight. I can get a really good contraction on my lats without any weight. So what I'm trying to stress to you is that a contraction is not the be all end all. You have to move. You have to be able to get that with heavy ass weight. Like when I do my workouts, my heavy dumbbell rows, I'll get the occasional knucklehead or two. Will be like cheat rows or ineffective. Like, man, I can feel the fuck out of my back. I'm sorry for all the F-bombs today, but I can feel the living heck out of my back because I've mastered it over 37 years. So I can get the same feel that somebody moving the 40-pound dumbbell rows with the mind-muscle connection. That's what irks me about the mind-muscle connection on the back. I get it. You can feel your back on 40-pound rows, but you're still weak. I can feel my back on 240-pound dumbbell rows. That's the disconnect. Like cutting off your arms to lower your body weight, right? It's kind of the same thing. You got to get strong while feeling the exercise, right? All right. UWM. We're a little fired up today. I don't know what's going on. Aren't leg presses better for quad hypertrophy than barbell squats? No, not at all. I don't know where you got that from, but not at all. Everybody's going to be different. And how they execute exercise is going to be different. No one's going to be the same. So there are a lot of people not getting anything out of barbell squats because of form and maybe even leverages and things like that. But if anybody says that one exercise, like leg presses are better than barbell squats or hack squats are better than leg presses, the answer is the best combination is a multiple exercises. That's the best for quad hypertrophy. Vinny P, thoughts on hot and cold therapy? Appreciate it. Looking forward to the change. 37th time is the charm. Hot and cold therapy. I've when I was at Tiger Fitness, I think Mark Lobliner was doing this stuff. And this was a while back, at least 5 years ago, so don't quote me. I remember him doing cold showers, contrast showers, and things like that. And I seem to recall, and somebody can correct me if they know more than I do or know the latest, because I don't hear anybody talking about them. I seem to recall that maybe cold therapy wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Now, I'm not sure what hot therapy means in a context of modern whatever. One thing I loved was taking a very hot bath every single day when I was training hard. I just felt it mentally relaxing, and I felt it good for soreness and stiffness. So that's all I know, Vinny. That's about all I know from personal experience. MG254, is there any benefit doing suicide monkey grip? No, don't do that. Just do not do it. Like preference, I'm not a fan of doing certain things because of the inherent risks. Okay. You can have a preference to rock climb without a rope, and that's a preference, and I respect your preference. But would I ever advocate doing a suicide grip? That's without the thumbs on a press? No. I think, in my opinion, and this is not a rip on MG254, in my opinion, it's one of the stupidest things you can do in the gym. If I see somebody doing overhead presses with a suicide grip, like you are one bad rep away on one bad day from really messing up your life. That bar slips off and hits you in the head. other things. So many things can go wrong. And obviously, 98% of lifters doing bench are not doing it with spotting pins, catch pins. Yes, you have a spotter, but if that goes south, your spotter isn't catching shit. So I don't recommend it at all. I don't see the value. I want to grip the bar. I want to roll the bar down. There are too many form cues for me that rely on a good, like your root, like in martial arts. And I don't know, I'm not a martial arts guy, but like football or sports, your roots, how you're rooted to the ground. That's your base. And lifting on the bench, I feel like my grip is my root. And without a good grip, I don't feel like I can really nail the rest of my form cues. All right, guys, we're about an hour in. I'm going to get a drink. Just when I need more caffeine. I'm a little fired up today, so sorry for all the swear words and all the more direct conversation. I hope I didn't tick anybody off. My passion is for helping you guys. And I get passionate about some of these subjects because I want you to succeed. I don't want you to waste time. So if it seems like I'm coming off aggressive or against, like I'm railing on somebody, it's not the case. I just want to set you guys straight and give you the best advice I can. 3 days grace. All right, just find out how many questions we got left. Do you recommend training abs separately? On a separate day? Not really. You don't need a lot of ab work. Not much at all. Bring up your main core strength and find some ab exercises where you can have some form of progressive overload. And besides that, that's all you really need. Doing a full workout of ab work is really a waste of time. It's not going to provide you any benefit in the long run. And if you like it, do it. It's not going to provide you any benefit. Just don't do anything that's going to contribute to an overuse injury. Vincenzo, sorry. Is training on an actual TRT dose, actual TRT, saying where your test levels are not super physiological, not over where they're supposed to be, the same as training for naturals? Or is that considered gear? That's not my call to make. Natural is without any extra substances, hormones put in your body. I guess that would be a fair way to put it. Now, just because somebody's not natural doesn't mean they don't need it, right? So the only case where it really matters is maybe two cases. If you're competing and you're putting extra testosterone into your body and you go from like 240 to 800, that's a pretty big push, right? And, is that cheating? Well, in a competition where somebody is considered natural, I would consider any additional use of any hormones put in the body other than a test booster, because, come on, they don't really work well. I would consider that to be cheating. But in the real world, we have to look at health, right? And somebody might get all upset because somebody raised their testosterone levels and has 2 more pounds of muscle and their butt hurt because they look bigger than they do or whatever. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, life is short. Life is not easy. And why do we really care what somebody else is doing? I mean, if we want to compare forms of self-abuse, I'm just being real. You go to Walmart, you just see people abusing themselves with food and alcohol and hard drugs and all kinds of stuff, And they don't care about their health. People using a little bit of TRT generally are going to the gym or concerned about their health. So You don't have to share my opinion, but honestly, I don't care. Now, let's dive into this real quick, and then we'll move on. There are TRT clinics, where you can get anything you want. If you don't believe me, just Google TRT clinic, fill out their form, talk to their doctor, and they'll give you whatever you want. That's not testosterone replacement therapy. That's just legal, expensive steroids. So, still, do I give a crap? No. But one thing I do keep in my big fat cranium is when somebody does say they're on TRT, all that means to me is they go to a TRT doctor, right? I've been in the industry a long time, and I can tell you there's people on TRT at TRT clinics seeing TRT doctors that are doing a shit ton of gear. So just know that. Just switch to conjugate training. Any advice? I don't know anything about you and your lifting history. So, wow, where to begin? Unless you're a late intermediate lifter or beyond, stop using it because you have a lot of base building yet to go. And I don't think for anyone that's a beginner, late beginner, even early intermediate, I don't think it's the best way for them to go. I think they need to build up their strength base, and I'll just leave it at that. Christos, what's your favorite guitar solo of all time? Wow. That's a tough one. There are a couple by Slayer that are just random and aggressive and, reckless and just fun, right? And you have like Eruption by Eddie Van Halen, which is more of a intense musical composition. But if we're looking at it from that standpoint, just pure wizardry, it's hard to beat Eruption. But I don't really care for like things. It's not like I don't appreciate it, but if I'm talking solos, it's like in the middle of a song when you least expect it, and it just grips you. Like a solo shouldn't just be in a song like to fill space. It should really grab you by the balls, or just, it should be something emotional that makes you, power up or tear up or something. You know what I'm saying? I've noticed that certain muscles like my biceps, delts, and traps can recover from weak over 30 sets a week to failure. Come on now. 30 sets a week to failure on biceps? What the fuck are you doing, dude? Are you adding weight? Are you getting stronger? I mean, what? Traps 30 sets a week to failure? I'm not buying it, okay? And I know you're a longtime viewer, and I'm sorry, but biceps and traps, 30 sets to failure. That's like I couldn't survive that. I couldn't survive that. I could not survive that. You're gonna rip your biceps up. I'm not trying to rip on you, my F and G. I'm like, number one, if you're going to true failure, then you're advancing every week on a myriad of those sets, progressing. That's going to tear you up. That's a meat grinder. How do you get to 30 sets per body part to failure? Like there's something missing here. Like our connections aren't connecting. Because if you're working hard, like that's impossible. Progressive overload can't be in the. You'd rip your bicep tendons out. Something like, how do you do 30 sets a week? I've noticed that certain muscles like my biceps, delts, and traps can recover from week over 30 sets a week to failure. There's something we're not connecting here. I'd like to know your strength levels. Are you adding weight weekly? Or are you just like, if you don't add weight, let's say you do 135 on barbell shrugs. You're doing 135 on barbell shrugs, and you take them to failure. How can you get them all to failure? Because you're getting stronger every week, and you're going to be doing more reps every week. Something here I'm not understanding. So I'm sorry to sound like I'm being hypercritical, but I'm just going to be honest. Just at what I am reading right here in this box, it's one of the most insane things I've ever read on Massive Iron Live. And I'm not saying you're insane, and I'm not doubting you, but it's one of those things, like one of the craziest things I've read where my brain just goes trying to process it. Is adding a set to existing movement considered a new... Okay, we covered that already. Sorry, James. Alpha Destiny said the neck is the number one muscle to isolate for novices who want to look jacked. No, I don't agree at all. And Alpha is a friend of mine. I have a ton of respect for him. We're going to disagree over maybe 10% of things, and that's okay, but I don't agree. I simply don't. If you want to look jacked, you're going to have to, get everything from head in that upper body big and strong. If you want to look jacked in a shirt, you need to get your chest and your shoulders and your traps and your back. If you don't understand how to get those big, your neck's not going to get big. And if you are able to train your neck and have size gains, you probably don't need it anyway because it's going to grow naturally from everything else. So I strongly disagree with Alpha Destiny, and I've said it over and over again. It's not an attack on him. Again, we're friends. I respect him. I'd go to war with him. But any coaches, they're going to have 10% of things they disagree on. I have things that Faz and I disagree on, but we don't use that as an opportunity to destroy a friendship. I just don't believe neck work has any value outside of martial arts. If you exceed your maximal recoverable volume for a week, do you just gain muscle at a slower rate? This is all theoretical, masturbation. It's a non-issue. You're bordering on the question, overtraining, how much muscle do you lose? No one trains like this. If you're doing a lot of volume over and over and over again, but you don't have progressive overload, it's just crap training. And you're already gaining at a slower rate. You're not going to lose muscle tissue, though. Very hard to lose muscle tissue. UWM, when I do 10 sets of calves to max safe reps, I recover within 48 days or hours. Should I do 10 sets? That's a lot of work. What are you doing, UWM? You guys are making my head explode today. What type of exercise are you doing? That's a lot of failure training. And that doesn't mean you should continue to do it just because you can recover. I can run 2 hours right now and I'm going to recover. That doesn't mean in the long run you're not going to pick up overuse injuries. So I'll leave it at that. Wow, you guys are throwing me some curveballs today. Ruck. Is 2x a week training, each session all muscle groups trained on one exercise in 6 sets, 4 to 8 reps going to build size. All muscle groups. Well, first off, we need to understand you have major and minor muscle groups. So you have to, if you're only training 2 times a week, you're going to have to prioritize. You're going to be in the gym for a very long period of time. The key is going to be consistency, pushing yourself. You're going to get some muscle growth out of that. But, there's a lot of muscle groups in the body. Are you talking 6 sets total a week? I would not do one exercise in 6 sets. There's some questions I have, Ruck. Are you doing one exercise for 6 sets on day 1 and then one exercise for 6 sets on day 2, like squats, 6 sets day 1, squats day 2, 6 sets, or are you doing squats 6 sets over 2 days? The rep range is rather arbitrary. Don't stick to the same rep range for every muscle group. That's an arbitrary standard. You got to really adapt your rep ranges to the specific exercise. If you had to say which 2 muscles are the most important to look muscular, I wouldn't say 2. It's going to be your overall upper body look, your chest thickness, your back thickness, your shoulder thickness, how thick your arms look, and how thick your traps look. It's really an upper body thing. And honestly, I couldn't boil it down to 2. James, is it true that forearm and calf development is mainly genetic? Not really. Calf development, look, forearms, when you see somebody work hard, usually their forearms grow. I've never seen a big bodybuilder, a big lifter, a big power lifter with small forearms. So I would say not in my experience with forearms. Calves, I've seen some guys with pretty small calves. I've worked with them, that were actually lifters. Do they train their calves with the same intensity that they train for their deadlift? No. So have I put together calf training protocols for clients that have resulted in pretty quick growth? Yes. So I've mentioned this before. I don't think there are very many people that train their calves like they do their bench press or their arms. Not many people. So it's like the people saying they didn't get anything out of creatine, but they don't take it 5 grams a day for 3 straight months. You have to kind of filter. That through reality. How many people in the gym, honestly, show of hands, and you can drop a comment in, how many people have you ever seen in all your time in the gym that are training calves with an intensity that makes you stop and watch them? So yes, there can be the calves definitely, you can have people that are born with big calves out of the womb and don't need to train them. And then you have guys that are born with skinny calves. But the question becomes, if you're born with skinny calves, will they grow if you train them with the same intensity as you do? That'll stop people in the gym. I think they will grow. Even guys like Mark Lobliner, who I worked with for a long time. I'm not dissing him. Not the best calves, but to be fair to Mark, I can't recall seeing him work calves with that intensity either. Mary Likens, German volume training devastated my experience of existence until I ceased. Yeah, not something I'd ever do again. It's a lot of hype. A lot of hype with German volume training, but I just there's just better ways. You want to play around with it once during your lifting career? By all means. I did. But do I think it has value? There's always going to be somebody that said they tried it and had really good results, and I don't doubt that at all. You have bigger testicles than I do, because I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. Lionel Alpha Destiny says the natural limit doesn't exist. I'd like to see the specific quote before I respond to this. Strength is different than size, guys. Strength doesn't rely on the same variables that size does. Size is regulated by physiological limits. So does that mean that somebody that has been training for 20 years might not have weak traps or a couple ounces to add on their back or something, or calves or what? Yeah, you can always add a little bit, but you're not at your true, every muscle group's at its biggest natural limit. Strength and size, Alpha is not disagreeing with me. Strength and size are based on 2 different platforms. Size is physiological. You can't change that. You can't change your physiological reality. Strength, you can. You can improve your form. You can improve your joint strength and connective tissue strength and your technique. And you can improve your mental strength. If anything we've learned over the last 10 years, the strength standards we had continue to grow. Heck, back in the day when I was approaching a 2,000-pound raw total, there had only been 82 people in the history of the sport that had hit a 2,000-pound raw total. And do you know how many times somebody came to me and like, you're sticking a needle in your ass? You know, I can tell you guys, there was no needle in my butt when I was doing that. There's no needle in my butt. I was eating an incredible amount of food. I was gaining strength very rapidly. All the stars aligned. I was training the hardest I trained in my life. But my total would have been that day, even I was training for a 2,000-pound total. But my total on that day would have been 1,850 to 1,900. 1,950 on a miracle day. Now, there's all kinds of lifters doing that stuff. So I want you guys to understand that there's a difference between size and strength. And there is a natural limit to strength, okay? We just don't understand it yet. You're not going to get a natural squatting 3,000 pounds. Therefore, there is a limit. There are certainly outliers in strength. I've seen it. I've coached some of them. I coached a woman who came to me. This was back in the days when Alan Roberts was thinking about doing a powerlifting meet and would come to my gym often. A woman came to me and wanted to train for a powerlifting meet. Within 3 months, she did 225 by 20 on squats. Now, that's freak level. And she's only just beginning. I trained a woman, was a school teacher, 38 years old. Didn't even look like she lifted. And she could bench like 245 at meets. She wasn't big either. She didn't even look fit. If you saw her on the street, you'd think you could knock her over. She's in the gym like doing dumbbell benches with like 80s for 10s. So there are people like that. They're outliers in the strength world. There are definitely outliers in the strength world. And this is a long ramble, so I'm sorry. But there are natural limits in strength. And I think Alpha Destiny wouldn't disagree with me on that point. I think what we're at is we're still trying to learn the standards, because I don't think back in the 50s and 60s, while there were some strong people, you know, like Franco and you know, whatever, I really don't think that we truly are yet to understand. We're getting close to it, I think, of what the human body is capable of. But there's a lot of luck involved. You got to have some good genetics. Like you can't just, not everybody is able to put 800 pounds on their back and survive. You know, so it's going to be a genetic elite thing. I would probably look more at Olympic lifting, the progression of weight over the years. And yes, some of them use drugs. I get it. But, you know, look at the progression in that sport. And, you know, kind of watch the curve. Where is it going? But Alpha Destiny is not disagreeing with me when it comes to muscle. I will say Alpha Destiny in 10 years will be the exact same size he is now, maybe a couple ounces different, maybe a pound different. Why do you think so many fitness models are insecure about their physiques? I think people in general are insecure about their bodies, and it's not just a fitness model thing. And I will tell you, as somebody that works in the industry, you get judged all the time. You know, like I make a video and the lighting's wrong and all of a sudden I'm old, right? Or I get comments all the time, you're fat and weak, or you don't look like a bodybuilder. I got one the other day on my bodybuilding video. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty comfortable with how my physique turned out, you know, for a 50-year-old guy. So I don't know. Fitness people can get beat up a lot. I mean, they're dissected. It's part of their job. They're fitness people, right? So I'm not crying for them, but I just think in general, most people have that same. It's a level playing field. I just think that the average person, like your sister or your mom, they don't get called out on a daily basis if they have a fat roll. Raphael, someone called me skinny today. It was very disrespectful. I'd respond to that, Raphael. Get strong, get bigger. Ugh, for someone going for the aesthetic look, do bigger upper arms, make your shoulders look smaller. Get everything big, Ugh. The aesthetic look, like you want to have without shoulders, like naturally, and here's what I mean, Ugh. Naturally, if you're lean, that's part of the aesthetic look. Like, let's look at Athlete X, right? Or Ziz, or whatever his name is. Not big. And if you're lean naturally, you're not going to look big. You're going to be around 170, 180. You want nice shoulders. They're not going to make you look too big. As far as arms go, man, get the arms as big as you can. Make them look good. Because nobody looks good with smaller arms. That's all I can really say. Do forearms make your upper arms look smaller? I have big forearms and people still looking at my arms. I think, if anything, because my forearms hang out of a shirt, if someone catches my forearm vasculinity and size, even though it's not huge, they tend to look at the rest of your physique. So I don't know. This is massive iron. I want to get everything as big and as strong as humanly possible. Thoughts on main gaining? Very misunderstood. Very misunderstood. I think Greg brings it on himself a little bit. Like, main gaining is basically building muscle while staying at the same body fat percentage. Well, if you're bulking right, that's pretty much a lean bulk. So I think he kind of wound himself into a hole by how he phrases things. I mean, if you're if you're 200 pounds and 160 pound lean body mass, you have 20% body fat. And if you're going to gain 10 pounds of muscle, you're going to gain 2 pounds of fat or whatever, and you're going to still be at 20% body fat. That's basically how a lean bulk should work in principle. So, correct me if I'm wrong. About the CAP program on your website, straight to the point. I need to add more to it, Malone. I appreciate your support of that. I need to add more to that. There's more information I have. But I will tell you, anybody that buys a program, whenever I do an update to the information on there, you're going to get an update for free. So thank you for your support on there. MG254. Can lack of long head triceps be genetic? I feel like I've done everything to get it to match my lateral head, but it's just not growing. MG, I'd like to see a picture. I'd like to see your arm size as well. And let me know what exercises you're doing for triceps in general. Let me know where your pressing strength is on your overhead press and your bench. It just helps for me to have a bigger picture. Rico, how often do you rotate exercises? I have guys in my gym who rotate every week. That's nonsense. Like, you want some exercise variety. Okay, you do. That's been shown to be good from a hypertrophy standpoint. So you want some exercise variety, but you don't want to go overboard, because you get to a point where you're just adding exercises, and you can add in a lot of stuff that might be silly or ineffective. So what do I mean by that? Like, I like to do squats every leg workout, and then if I could, I'd rotate between leg press and hack squats, and then if I could, I'd rotate between pendulum squats and leverage squats. I like all those exercises. I have personal experience with them. And then I'd be doing leg extensions and maybe lunges and stuff like that. So it's good to experiment with exercises, and it's good to have some exercise variety in. But, I don't like to rotate an exercise out more than every 2 weeks. You get too far from an exercise, and then you're just bringing your strength back up on that exercise. Does that make sense? So if you get 3 or 4 weeks out from an exercise, you're basically just spending your time when you get back to that exercise bringing your strength back up. So it's rather pointless. So if you view it in the context of I'm going to do some exercises every other week, there's a limited number of exercises you can do per body part. 4, 5, 6, 7, for every 2 weeks. I hope that helps some. Mary, do you do your compound lifts first? Yes. Or obviously after getting warm. Yes. Sorry. I thought you meant first in your workout. You absolutely want to warm up. Warm up means a couple things. You want to get your body temperature up. You don't want to be cold internally. You want to feel nice at a warm body temperature. You don't have to do much for that. A lot of times it can just be moving around the gym, loading plates, just getting into the gym, taking off your jacket, moving around, going to the bathroom, walking around the gym, saying hi to Joe and Sue and all that kind of stuff. Either that or 5 minutes real low, steady state cardio, treadmill, that sort of thing. Then you need to do a warm-up protocol on a big compound movement to get your central nervous system engaged. Your body's not just going to recruit a maximal amount of muscle fibers just out of the gate on your first set. It needs to kind of know, hey, something's going on here, and I need to be prepared for it. So you warm up. You do ramping warm-up sets, so a little bit more weight while decreasing the reps on each warm-up, if that makes sense. The ISO kid, is hitting chest 3 times a week too much? When you look at frequency, you have to look at weekly set volume. So there have been workouts where I've hit chest 5 times a week, but I've kept the weekly chest volume the same. Here's what I mean. Let's say 12 sets. Let's say 10 to 12 sets a week for chest, hard sets. You could do those on one day. On a body part split, you're probably going to need to decrease the intensity of the exercises as you go along. You could do that on 2 days and do 5 to 6 sets per day. You can do it on 3 days and do 3 to 4 sets a day. You can do it on 4 days. There's going to have to be some exercise variety because you can't just do heavy work in the same compound movements every day. It's just not the best for the body. It's not best for hypertrophy. So no, hitting it 3 times a week is not too much. Look at weekly volume more than anything. MG254 just ordered Join XT from Amazon. I'm glad you were able to find it. A lot of times because of how often I recommend it, it's hard to find in stock. So I'm glad you found it in stock. And Malone, I was trying to figure out how to say Leicestershire or Leicester, and he says Leicestershire. Okay, that sounds good. In reply to how to say Leicestershire. All right, let me get a drink, guys. We're about an hour and a half in. I'll stay on as long as you guys have questions. One down. We're on number 2. All right. I need shoulder specialization program. I've been training for 5 years and a half and have decent shoulders, but I need to bring them up. I don't have anything specific, Alilo, but I could put together a shoulder specialization program for you. You can head over to my website, Super Living Today. There's a place for custom. There's a service tab, and there's a place for custom workouts, so I'd be glad to help you out. Beyond that, any of you guys don't want something from the Big Hairy Ugly Dude, just Google Shoulder Specialization Program. If you're not sure if it's crap, send the program link to me, and I'll tell you what I think. I've had mild gyno since I was a teen, and I haven't gone away. Is it gyno or is it man boobs? I'm not saying it's one or the other, but I just want to make sure we're on the same sheet of paper. Will it ever go away? If you get accused of being fake natty, look, that could be estrogen related. Like say your estrogen levels were high and maybe you're pretty lean. Will it ever go away? It can minimize the leaner you get, but I think you have to get pretty lean for without a shirt for somebody not to notice it. And obviously we're walking around with shirts, so I'm not sure what your case is, what your weight is, what things look like. I'd probably need to know more information. Malone, it's actually more like Leicester. Just depends on your accent. And I have the bad American accent, so I'm sure that makes it sound awful. Thanks for the compliment. Pleasure working with you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it 100% and keep doing what you're doing. Who makes Joint XT? Seen a bunch of different ones. Joint XT, hold on, folks, hold on. Joint XT is made by Serious Nutrition, SNS, Serious Nutrition. Rack pulls help me grow faster than anything else. A good rack pull is hard to beat. One of my favorite exercises. I know you shouldn't compare your physique to genetic freaks, fake natties, but it's hard not to. I don't like the idea that we shouldn't compare our physiques. I think we all need things to strive for. And it's not inherently bad. When I was young, I looked up at Tom Platz. His legs were huge back then. Was it a bad thing? No. Does it mean, am I setting my sights too high? Well, I'll tell you what. The people that set their sights high are the people that have a greater chance of hitting higher heights. Set your heights high. Don't assume your limitations. Don't be arrogant and be like, I'm gonna get as big as such and such and so. That's just being an idiot. But going into the gym and saying, I'm going to see how close I can get. I'm going to see how big I can get. I'm going to see how strong I can get. It's like anything in life. That's not a downside unless you become obsessed to the point where you're a little bit delusional. All right. Is it bad to chase PRs every workout? Well, if it's lower up sets, yes. That's just screwing around in the gym. That's not a program. That's a good way to get hurt. That's not the way you build muscle and strength. If you're talking about PRs adding a rep to a set, you should be attacking that. Giuseppe, great material. Thank you, sir. I'm 5'6" and 160 and 15 months of gym experience. For dumbbell chest press, I'm stuck at 80s. You're doing really well. How much, Giuseppe, I'd like to know, how much your weight has gained. How has your weight been the last 6 months? Okay, because you are a good pressing, you have good pressing strength. Let's establish that. But pressing strength is very much tethered to a good diet. So if you are not gaining weight, you could still be gaining strength, but you're going to reach a point where it's probably going to be hard to add weight. So I would tell you to continue to try to gain 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a month for at least the next 18 months. You can have small micro cuts in there, but that's your best bet to continue to try to gain strength on the dumbbell bench. And understand that previously your strength went up fairly rapidly. Great effort, but it's going to slow dramatically. Adding a rep a month might become the norm. Still, right now where you're at, it's a long game thing. to get to 100s, it could take you 4 years. So just understand you're doing good. You're not doing anything wrong. You want to continue to gain a little bit of weight and just be patient. It's strength gains slow down. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. So just keep your head up. Thoughts on reverse hyper, the one where you lay backwards against tension. Lay backwards, like doing a sit-up. So, no, reverse hyper, you lay backwards. I've never seen anybody lay backwards on a reverse hyper. Your back would be on the pad. And are you doing like a leg raise? Thoughts on Smolov Jr. for bench? I would need to know a lot more information. I see a comment coming up. Smolov got me 10 pounds in 4 weeks. I can get you 10 pounds in 4 weeks. That's your effort. That's not a program. And I think most reasonable programs could get you 10 pounds in 4 weeks. I have clients get 10 pounds in 4 weeks all the time. In fact, this week I had 3 or 4 clients get to 185 by 20 on bench. So that's not indicative. I'm not putting down Smolov, but that's not indicative of Smolov being a superior program. What that is indicative of a really good effort. So am I a big fan of it? Not really. I think you can get a lot done without it. I'm not dissuading you guys from trying it. I think a lot of times people kind of hit that intermediate stage and they want to try some kind of a program and they bump their lifts up 10 or 20 pounds. And that's not a bad thing. I don't have anything against it. I just, it's not my way of programming. Let's put it that way. I have a very specific way. I like to program bench to get people strong, and nothing works for everybody. But I just like my way. Let's put it that way. Luke, thoughts on doing upper body twice a week and lower body once a week? That's fine. I don't like upper lower splits because most people don't like or need 2 leg days a week, and those can be 2 pretty intense leg days. I would rather, one of the things I do on an upper lower, and if any of you guys are curious, you can head over to my website, which is obviously right up here. I have an upper lower split, but my lowers, you have legs and back, and uppers, you have chest, shoulders, and biceps, basically. So, Luke, I have no issue with it. If you're getting in your weekly leg volume, then let it rip. It's all about weekly volume. James, if push-pull legs once a week has same hypertrophy as push-pull legs twice a week, if volume is equated, then why even bother training extra days at all? Well, that's the issue, James. Most people that do push-pull legs want to be in the gym 5 or even 6 days a week, and they end up doing more volume. Now, if you can recover from that, have at it. As long as your progression and your intensity is in place, I don't have an issue with it. But if volume is equated, then the only real benefit of doing it twice a week would be that you have shorter workouts, would be that you can work out more intense per set and you don't have to be tethered to the clock. So there are some slight benefits, James. But it really depends on the individual. Brad Schoenfeld said you can maintain muscle with just one set. It's really easy to maintain muscle. I will tell you that in my experience. It's really easy to maintain strength. Maintaining strength and maintaining muscle are super easy. So I don't know about just one set to max safe reps. That's kind of arbitrary, but it's in the ballpark. I don't need to go to failure on anything to maintain muscle mass. Let's put it that way. Mickey, Thanks for answering the question, barbell row and upper back. Further question, should I allow myself a little bit of momentum? Well, let's talk about the difference between momentum on rows and power. So there is some confusion when it comes to this. And first, let me set the table, and I've talked about this before. When you are benching, you have to power the weight off your chest. You have to explode the weight off your chest, or it's not moving. On a squat, you have to explode the weight out of the hole, or it's not moving. On deadlift, you have to explode the weight out of the hole, or it's not moving. Now, where the crazed monkeys on the internet go wrong is all of a sudden, if you're on a back exercise and you explode a dumbbell row off the ground, OMG, it's cheating. Like, no, it's the same thing as any other lift. There's a difference between momentum and power. For me, power generation is driving the elbows and shoulder back, driving the elbow and shoulder back to generate power. Nothing wrong with that. Momentum, if you're doing a barbell row and you get to that rep where speed slows and you can barely get it past halfway up, at that point, that's when a set is basically to failure, right? But you can still do cheat reps after that. And that's where you start using momentum. So if you want to use a couple momentum reps at the end, I'm okay with that. I just don't count those as regular reps. But just know there's a difference between power and momentum. Mike, I get weird looks when doing dumbbell rows, but man, that's an awesome workout. I think if you are crushing weight in the gym on dumbbell rows, you're going to get weird looks. Some dickhead's going to come over and tell you you're cheating, even though you're rowing more than he's deadlifting. So just ignore it and get strong and big. Amanda P, home gym essentials. Well, during the pandemic, I've coached a lot of people that have moved to home gyms, a lot. And I have expanded my home gym because I'll never go back to a commercial gym again. I just have everything in my home gym I need right now. I just decided to spend the extra $5,000 and get it over with. So, number one, the biggest thing people don't have is dumbbells. You either need a single dumbbell handle that can handle Olympic weights for dumbbell rows, and or you need two sets of you need basically two sets of dumbbell handles. Women can get away without two, and I'll explain why. Spin locks, but then you have to get standard plates and you have to buy more plates, and that gets expensive. So if you're not super strong, the best bet is to get standard plates and two sets of spin locks. And if you're super strong, you're going to end up spending a lot on standard plates. So you might just want to get the dumbbell sets where you can put them in and change weight and pull them out. Now, the reason why I recommend two sets of spin locks is if you've ever had to go from lateral rows to like dumbbell rows in the gym, changing all those standard plates drives you mad. I like to keep two sets so I can keep 20 to 25 to 30 pounds on one, just make a micro adjustment. And then the other one the other set I can use for dumbbell or barbell rows, and I don't have to move 100 pounds of plates. So dumbbells are the biggest one. Beyond that, I would say the biggest, hardest areas to train, you start to get into legs and back. So leg equipment, you're going to have to spend some money. We're talking $3,000, $2,000, $4,000. But an essential, we're talking about essential. The dumbbells are definitely an essential. What would I consider essential next? Something else to work legs. I have a leverage squat from Titan Fitness. Costs like, I don't know, $600. It's awesome. It's a good complement to squats, but it's expensive. But you can get that, and you can get a sissy squat station from Titan, for like $800 total, and you can really work your legs. So there's a lot you can do for back at home. Dumbbell rows, barbell rows, landmine rows, meadows rows, pull-ups, inverted rows. I would also say a cable station that's not wall-mounted, for $300, because that just opens doors. Those would be kind of the basics, I would say. Red Wild Bear, best exercises to correct left versus right and balance. Nothing. Nothing. If we're talking about size imbalances, like most people have one size bigger than the other. And nothing I've seen over the years will change that and bring up the weak side or the smaller side. With that said, the stronger and bigger you get, the more trivial the difference becomes. But I still, after 37 years, and I've done everything 1,000 times over, my right arm is still bigger than my left arm by a little bit, and my right leg is still bigger than my left leg. Now, if it's some kind of medical imbalance, I need to know, what specifically is going on. Is there something genetically different where you're born with one muscle that's not the same as the other? I've seen this. So one leg longer than the other. If it's something beyond that, we would have to talk a little bit more. Why do you think most fake natty YouTubers are much smaller than you? They're not much smaller than me. Anybody that's a fake natty, look, I've met everybody. And, I've met everybody. I'm just a bigger guy in general. I'm like Chris Jones. I've trained in this. I've been at events with Chris Jones. And Chris, my arms are lean. They're not even 17 inches. Chris's arms are bigger than mine lean. What I have is I'm a bigger guy. I carry around more weight. So I fill out my frame more. My legs are only like 26 inches. I have clients with bigger legs than mine. I posted on Instagram a picture of me doing hack squats, and my legs look huge, but I guarantee they're only like 28 inches. But I was 266 pounds in that video. So take that down to a lean Chris Jones. Fake natty YouTubers are not much smaller than me. I've met them all. I've worked out with them. They've been in my gym. Real lifters and fake natties. Every fake natty I've met has been bigger than me. Like, I hate to use fake natties, but you look at like guys like Chris Gethin, who I did a deadlift video with. He's bigger than I am. I stood next to him. Let me see if I can find this for you guys, okay? Let me see if I can show you guys some real pictures. Like, you guys might see pictures of me pumped, but they're not real life. That you got to have some frame of reference. All right, so let's bring in a Ruski screen share, and I think this is it. Okay. All right, where are we at? There's me and Chris Gethin. Chris is much wider. Look at the arm size, much bigger than me. I'm flexing my traps like a cobra to hang with them, and I'm taller than these guys, but like Chris has got this monster chest and monster back, and let me see if I can find just a picture of myself, not posing and flexing and pumping, from Tiger Fitness days. I used to have a lot of people that would come to Tiger Fitness to meet me. And let's see, photos posted by you. I'm looking at Facebook. And I would get my arms and stuff, measured with them. And we do flexing pictures and all kinds of stuff. Hold on, I'm searching. I'm searching. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. There'll be a good example here somewhere. Here's one out of powerlifting, mate. Let's share screen. This is a good buddy of mine. And dude's a monster. He's a power lifter. But, much bigger than I am. His arms are a couple inches bigger than mine. Let's do one more. I want to find one with just like some average people that came to visit me. I got one. Don't go anywhere. There's going to be one around here somewhere. Where are you? Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Maybe I'll just click off. Right. Man, I can't find the ones I want when I need it. I don't know. We'll do this shit. We'll do this shit other times. It's kind of like, just to end cap this whole discussion, like, fake natties are not smaller than me. I've met bodybuilders, I've met, guys that, are in a little bit of saucy sauce. They're bigger than me. The only guys that are smaller, the same size, are guys like Chris Jones or whatever. Again, Chris has bigger arms than me. He has the same size legs than me. I just happen to weigh 70 more pounds than he does. So take it for what it's worth. Hey, boss, your thoughts and advice regarding vitamin mineral supplements. You want to get a quality one because there's a high variance of what's actually in the supplement. So do your research. Better to spend a little bit more on something that's proven and has been tested. I'll leave it at that. Nothing wrong with a backup plan. Wade, one of my clients, a little late. I think the magazine's an awesome idea. Thanks, and I'm very excited for it. Jerry is starting a small lifting program. Starting a small lifting program and a pull-up program, I'm having quite a bit of elbow tendonitis. Jerry, this is one of the most common questions that I discuss. And I want you to get some VersaGrip Pros. They're like $65-$70 on Amazon. They'll last you forever. Grip, tennis elbow, all the gripping of the tennis racket. Grip, golfer's elbow, all the gripping of the golf clubs. Grip, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, deadlifts, all the grip on back day and deadlifts and RDLs. That's contributing to elbow tendonitis. We're used to the elbow tenderness. Probably one of the same issues, I would imagine. Get yourself some VersaGrip Pros and see if that doesn't help you over the long run. All right, what do we got next? Oi, hey, is doing dumbbell bench for higher reps after barbell bench redundant? No, that's what I've done over the years. The combination is great for hypertrophy and strength. I would always do my heavier barbell stuff and then dumbbells for reps. You can split them on different days. It doesn't really matter, but I would like you to do both of them over the course of a week. How can we row wide without hurting the back? I'm not sure what you mean by row wide, so maybe you can clarify. Would you rather look like you lift to others but think your physique is horrible, or not look like you lift to others but be delusional? I don't know. That's a good question. It's not something I've ever pondered, so I'll leave that one to you guys. Nicholas, most awkward encounter at a gym. I made a video this week about training with Ronnie Coleman. I would say awkward. That's one of my most awkward, only because Ronnie was super quiet, and I didn't expect it. I was expecting him to be friendly and talkative, and it was a little bit awkward. And then at the same time, I had Nick Wright with me, and Nick was filming everything, so that was probably one of my most awkward encounters at a gym. And I will tell you, because of being on YouTube for so long, that it's not a gym encounter, but pretty much wherever I go, and this might sound silly, but with 90,000 subscribers on YouTube and with having been with Muscle and Strength and Tiger Fitness and having ran Muscle and Brawn and been on the Tiger Fitness channel, pretty much anywhere I go, someone recognizes me. Like a stranger. You're in a liquor store and you turn to the right and there's somebody staring at you. Like trying to figure out if that's you. And then you kind of look your head back at the whiskey and you look over and you see. Or you're getting an energy drink out of the gas station. This happened in the middle of nowhere. After a hike, I'm getting an energy drink out of the cooler in the gas station. I turn around and the guy behind me is like, right. So I would say it's weird because at some point when you do YouTube for a long time, it moves from just doing YouTube to almost like being on a TV show. I had people will find my address and just walk around my house trying to figure out if that's where I live. Not a lot, but it happens. Inglorious Bagel Biting Bastards. Ghost of Tom Joad, Tom Morello solo. Raphael, does pineapple go well on pizza? It might for you, but that's not going on my pizza. My pizza is all pizza, you know what I'm saying? Man, when I get pizza, it's meatballs and steak and 2 kinds of pepperoni and Italian sausage, jalapenos, and red onions. And then I dip the crust in buffalo sauce. Thoughts on nootropics? Well, I would not. If you're going to look at a nootropic, I'd look at a nootropic blend. Because there are a lot of really good nootropic blends out there that are much better than any single ingredient. Richie, how long does it take muscle to come back after taking 3 months off? Not long at all. It might seem like it takes forever, but I think really after about 3 months of hard training, you're going to be almost back up to full speed. Brandon, how much do you think your training will change when you hit 60? That's a good question. Brandon, right now, if I were to judge it on the way I feel right now, as long as I take care of my body and don't do a lot of extreme 1-rep max stuff, I think I can sustain where I'm at. I mean, the weight feels light, and I think that's partially to do with 37 years of lifting. And I don't really have any nagging injuries, so I don't know, man. Right now I just want to get my bench to 225 by 5 by 10 after COVID, because I had COVID. I want to get my squat to 315 by 5 by 10. And I'm pretty much just going to try to sustain that unless I get the bug up my ass to set some over 60 powerlifting record. I got your barbell and bodyweight program. I'm very satisfied after a month of training. My question is, when should I add in any isolation exercises? It really depends on a lot of factors. Where are you training? Home gym, commercial gym? How's your time in the gym working out for you? How's your recovery going? If you want to hit me up with this stuff, I could make some general suggestions. But I would say if you have room, I would add in an isolation exercise on any given day of 2 sets only. See how you recover, see how your time in gym is going, and then from there, you can kind of decide if you want to add in anything else. Orion, I enjoy whiskey. Does indulging in nightly neat drinks affect muscle growth? No. I mean, if you're talking 3 or 4 drinks a night, then you might as well, you're settling into like being 60, right? You're going to sit on the porch and have some drinks and smoke a cigar and your fuck bag is empty, right? I might do that someday when I'm 60. I talk about it like someday when I'm 60 and partially retired, I'm just going to sit on the porch and drink whiskey and smoke cigars, but probably not. Geez, any tips on increasing overhead press? Sorry. Babbling a little bit. Currently at 135 by 5 for 3 sets. 3 sets use leg drive for final 2 reps. Can't seem to increase. I need to know more information. Are you doing dumbbell overhead presses as well? How's your tricep work? Are you doing these seated or standing? I have a lot of questions for you. How's your weight been in the last 6 months? Is it going up at all or stagnating? You're in a pretty good place strength-wise. A lot of guys will never get there. So from here, I would have to comb through the details to kind of see which pieces and parts are missing. Does caffeine and sugar intake influence muscle growth in a negative way? No. If it did, there'd be nobody in powerlifting. Any stretching mobility programs you recommend? I'm not big into mobility. Just don't care for it. Don't have time for it. Not a passion of mine. Stretching, I'd rather see you guys do something like yoga, more practical application. I tried DDP yoga for a couple weeks, a month. Me and my wife both liked it. I simply don't have time to do it. So don't discount DDP. It's you can use it on your phone. You can use it on your Roku. Do it in your living room. Do it, wherever. I think DDP is a really good value. How much protein you're taking in each day? The lowest worst case days are 150. On the average days, 180, 190. Tips on how to make gains by just using adjustable dumbbells at home. There are dumbbell-only workouts and a lot of dumbbell-only exercises you can do. There's a lot you can do. Really, the toughest you're going to run into at home is legs, because without squats, you're like lunges and Bulgarian split squats and pause jump squats. So, David, my best advice, just do as many compound movements as you can. But really, the best advice is you got to get more equipment. Philo, can I post? Last 5 visits, no question, comments have appeared. That's odd, but I'm not surprised. There are some guys that go live. I've been trying to post questions for a year and it doesn't go through. No idea why. Jan, I did Small Off Junior for bench. It's more like a peaking program. I don't like programs that beat you up, and that's a program that would probably beat me up. So I'm not saying you shouldn't try it. I'm just saying it's not a program I particularly like. Deesh, how can I treat hypermobile wrists? No idea. I'm not trying to be dismissive, Deesh, but that's way out of my lane. I'm just absolutely clueless. Jose, how do you determine if someone is still a beginner? A couple of criteria. Exercise form is really shoddy, and that's not a diss. It just means I can tell they seem really uncomfortable or unstable under the bar or unsure of themselves. Strength levels are relatively weak. That's another huge indicator. Not a lot of size, has been built, or no noticeable size. So those are the big indicators for me. No noticeable size, still very weak. And when it comes to the major lifts, they seem unsure or very don't have a real good understanding of form at all. Amanda P., best brand of gym equipment. If you're in the United States, Titan Fitness, 100%. I used to use New York Barbells and TDS. Titan Fitness has faster shipping. Boom. Fast shipping. Customer service is reasonable. A really good variety of equipment, and I find it to be a step above TDS. I like most of my Titan stuff. There's a few things I wish I wouldn't have bought, but that's more personal choice. Outside of the States, can't help anyone. Rico, thanks for answering everything. Thank you. Stein, awesome live as well. Thank you, Stein. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I got like 5 questions left, so this is going to be last call. If you guys have any questions, get them in now. And a reminder, if you want to get in on the magazine, you want to write an article, share a transformation story, share a recipe, whatever, email me. I'm going to drop my email in right now. Email me for more details. Hold on. I'm going to put my email in right now. Okay. There it is. benthebarman@gmail.com. All right. Troy S., your older lifting demo videos are brilliant. Any thoughts of doing more of these? I'm actually thinking, we're actually working on that right now. We're getting a photographer. We're going to be putting together, probably in the next year, some videos and tutorials that are going to be much more in depth. Mike and Greg have said that mental toughness is largely genetic. I don't know if I agree. Like people would consider me somebody with a lot of mental toughness, right? And I'm not trying to lift myself on high or anything like that, but I think mental toughness was a combination of development, putting myself in unusual circumstances, and my background. Like, my dad was a violent alcoholic, and I was highly motivated not to be like him. Highly motivated. Like, when I go out on a run or I go into the gym, a lot of times that's where I release my, emotions. So I don't think it's like kind of borderline. I'm going to release emotions and just let it out and let it rip. And going into basic training in the military, I wouldn't say I had a lot of mental toughness. They forced me to do things I did not want to do. And I think that I would be curious if either Mike or Greg had been in the military, and this is not a dig on either of them. I don't really care if they did or didn't. But I think guys that have been in the military or played sports, they have to do a lot of things they don't want to do, guys and girls. And I think putting yourself in the position to do things where you don't know the outcome. Like, I did 350K runs in July 3 years ago. Did I sign up for them because I had mental toughness, or did I get mental toughness from signing up for them and following through? You decide. I think a big part of it is putting yourself in those positions and challenging yourself. And you have to set aside fear. You have to stop thinking, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Like, I'm on 80-pound dumbbell benches, but I'm afraid because it feels heavy. What's going to happen? What's going to happen if I try 85? Likely nothing. You might get a few less reps, but your dick isn't going to fall off. Right? All this worrying. You have to learn to set aside fear. Or you have to learn to tune it out. Just say, I'm not going to die. Like when I was in basic training and something hard was in front of me, I said, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to be alive. Whatever happens in the next hour, I know I'm going to be alive. So it's not going to be as bad as I think. Does the body build up tolerance to creatine? No. I don't believe mental toughness is genetic. It's developed. I believe it can be cultivated for the reasons I just explained. Pringle cake. Big, hairy, ugly dude. Would I gain some benefit from 8 to 10 weeks of extra high volume on lagging body parts? I am a believer that specialization programs are okay. Let's say you're doing, like, if I want to run a back specialization program and add in a little extra volume, don't go ridiculous. I would take it out of the other things. So one way you can do specialization programs is you could do 2 or 3 months of a back specialization program, then 2 or 3 months of a chest specialization program, 2 or 3 months of a shoulder specialization program. You could, as an intermediate lifter, rotate specialization periods where you're just pulling out slightly from the other areas, because we want to stay in the gym about the same time, and inserting that volume into a lagging body part. So certainly can do that. I'm out of shape. Do you recommend losing weight with diet before lifting weights? No. One of the main issues with people that are trying to lose weight is inconsistency, and weight training is one of the best things you can do in general for weight loss. It's a good habit. Get on it now. Don't worry about muscle size. People that lift weights that come to me have a much higher percentage chance of being successful with weight loss. Here's what I mean. You send me a 240-pound woman that doesn't lift, and she wants to lose weight, and she's done everything, every fad diet. She's not in a healthy lifestyle of like lifting already. So what are her chances of being successful with fat loss? Very minimal. Now, on the other hand, I have a female client that has lost over 50 pounds. She's actually doing a 12-hour run with me in July. She has incorporated and attacked weightlifting. And because of it, it's kind of pulling her into a lifestyle of mental strength, mental fortitude. There's so many good benefits to lifting. Lifting is not magical, but I really think it's an integral part. If somebody wants to lose weight, it'll help you establish a better lifestyle. I start with 50% of max, 8-rep warm-up, then 75, 8-rep, Does this count as 5 sets? No. Warm-up sets are not working sets. But I would say you should do 50% by 8, 60% by 5, 70% by 3, and then or 2 or 3, and then jump in your working sets. A reminder, here is my email if anybody wants to get involved with the magazine. First issue is looking to be released on the 1st of June. James, I can almost reach knees without bending. Plus 9-inch apex or touch knees with your hands. Well, my arms always look lanky. Let me see if I can pull up a picture for you. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just. This is funny. This is funny. If I can find it, I won't waste more than 30 seconds of your time. If I can find it. That's not it. That's not it. One more. I'm going to do one more search on Facebook. I have naturally long arms, and it doesn't look like I do because of how I look now. I can't find it, but there's a picture I'll share with you guys. I have naturally longer arms, so that helps with deadlifts. But the way I look now, muscle-wise, you can't really tell. Benny, hurt my shoulder rotator cuff 2 weeks ago, but still hitting PRs on bench. It depends on the degree, Benny. I don't want, do what you can do, but always err on the side of caution. Allow time for it to heal. Mike Mack, mental toughness is not genetic. I think a lot of it's environment. I think a lot of it's putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. And I think like habits, like I think lifting for 30 years plus has helped me develop mental toughness. Greg thinks everything is genetics. I don't watch much Greg. What's going on, Alexander, with the elbow cough? Mike Mack, is it okay to do squats and then leg presses? Yes. No, if you can't handle it, it's more just, everybody can handle that unless they have some extreme mental condition. That's what I do. No issues at all. It might take you a while to get used to the demands, but that doesn't mean, adding work capacity is not a bad thing. So if it doesn't feel great, no worries. It's going to feel better over time, and you're going to get reward from it. All right, guys, we're almost done. Alexander, how much singles we need to do to get enough volume and build strength? I'll be doing 5 to 8, but thinking to volumize to 12. I don't really do singles on deadlifts outside of a protocol. I have clients do that as 10 minutes of singles and doubles, starting at 70%. How many singles do we need to get enough volume? On deadlifts, max 25 reps a week. It depends on the demands of the rest of your program and how it looks and how it's structured, but I really like to be within 20 to 25 reps on deadlifts a week. What's going on, Stan? Glad to see you before we jump off. And Morgan Robert, how long would you rest a shoulder injury? Man, that's impossible to say. There's a million different types of shoulder injuries and a million different types of scenarios. With any injury, you want to baby it. And when you think it feels 100%, assume it's only 80%. Take your time and ease back into it. All right, guys, we are done. Thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. Please head over to my website, Super Living Today. Sign up for coaching. It's only $80 a month. Get yourself a custom workout. Get yourself some T-shirts, cheap. Get yourself some workouts. Thank you, Alexander. And I appreciate your guys' support. Please head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman if I missed your questions. Read up on the new magazine. I'm on TikTok now. Massive Iron YT. I'm not doing anything great, but I'm there. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.